So now we've got our BusyBox image. What can we do? Well, we want to run this. We want to create a container. And we do that with another very simple command, docker run. And all we're going to do here is pass in the name of the image that we want to create a container from. So essentially just think of it as in virtualization in terms of spinning up a VM from a template that you may have. Now, what I'm going to do with this actually, let me say, is I'm going to show you two examples. We're going to have the docker run with just the image name, and we're going to do a docker run, but we're actually going to use the same image, BusyBox, but we're going to give this one, this container, a name. And the reason for that, I'll show you in just a moment, so you can see the difference between doing so and not. So hopefully this shouldn't take too long, because you see these images are relatively small. I think it's like 1.15 megabytes it says in size. So there we go. We've just created our first container. Very, very simple. Now, when I was talking about the name, the reason for that is I will show you now. If you give this a name, if I click in the right place here, be able to zoom in. What we have here is essentially a list of what is currently running in our containers. So I ran docker process -a, which is all. So it's essentially show me all that's running. If I ran it without the -a, it would only show me those that's actually running. And with this output, you have, a unique container ID, the image it was built off, any commands that are actually running in the background of it at the moment, how long ago it was created, how long ago it was created, the status, as you can see here, it says it was exited, as in it stopped about 16 seconds ago. Don't worry too much about that. It's a BusyBox. It is just a tools pack that you would collaborate with something. But this is the bit I wanted to highlight, the names. As you can see here, this is the name that I gave one of the containers, and we know that that's ours. That's the one that the name we chose for that container itself. But sometimes you can have things like this, Sad Murdoch. You could have Crazy Wendy, Silly Sausage. They come out with some bizarre names. And to be honest, it doesn't make a difference unless you specifically need to reference that. And unless you know it, then it can make things a little bit more difficult in order for you to be doing things. So we'll just clear that screen a little bit so we can see what we're doing. So if we run that Docker process again, we've got there two containers that's running, and that's great. Now, once you've done what you want to do with a container, how do you go about getting rid of these? And again, everything in this script, all one-liners, very, very simple. We want to get rid of that container using docker rm, docker remove. Now, there is a couple of ways we can do this. We could either pass in, we've got docker remove, and we can pass in essentially here the container ID. Now, that in itself can be a bit of a pain because that's a 12-character string of random letters and numbers, and that's potentially quite awkward to copy and paste. So one little neat trick that you can do with this is, as long as the first character is unique, to make that string unique, then that's all you need to enter. So in our case here, you will see our first letters are our first characters are C and 0. So in theory, as long as I enter a 0 up here, that should be all I need in order for it to know which one to get rid of. So let's try it. And then I can run that again. have a look, see what's actually there. And you can see now we only have CAF, which is ultimately the one, the SQL Glasgow BusyBox one. Now again, if you have a name, a relatively useful name, you can just run that as well, and that will get rid of it. No, I don't want to run it again. I want to remove it. So if I run that, that removes it. And as you can see there, containers are gone. Don't have any left. Nice and simple.